Let's get into it. Coach Colin here, guys. We are talking about us being containers for souls. This is a very interesting topic. Now, Bob Lazar said this a while back. Now, Joe Rogan and Sam Tripoli are going to talk about that and some other things that actually correlate with what Bob Lazar was talking about when he said this. So I'm going to show you a clip with Joe Rogan, Sam Tripoli. They're talking about this whole thing. Then I'm going to show you the actual footage of Bob saying it all the way back in the 80s, I believe. Raw footage. And then we're going to move on to Danny Jones and Ryan Bledsoe. I believe that's how you say his name. And they're going to be talking a little bit about the deception that will take place. And I really feel Ryan as he talks about this. I've talked about it many times myself. I think he's right on the nose. And then we're just going to get into why this could be right and the fact that we've lost language. That's a big thing that I've been thinking of recently. We keep losing language and we keep on allowing people to make it more technical and more sterile. But we already have the language for what Bob is talking about. And I'll go over that near, not the end of the clip, but throughout the whole episode. But let's start with Joe Rogan, Sam Tripoli. You can tell he's already trying to get into something. Big eyes on Sam Tripoli. Female glasses on Sam Tripoli. I love the guy, but those are ladies' frames. It's all good. No problem. He's still tinfoil alumni. Let's get into it.
Him, and he ran back and his girlfriend saw him. They're like, let's get the fuck out of here. And that gets into like kind of like the whole, again, missing 411 is that it's almost like Grand Theft Auto. You ever drive to Vegas in Grand Theft Auto, it has to render itself forever. So the whole theory is that these people go missing because the simulation doesn't want to render for just one person, and that's why they disappear.
That's possible. Let me give you another possibility. Getting lost in the woods is easy. Getting out of the woods is hard. You could easily starve to death trying. You could easily break a leg, get injured, and no one would ever find you.
Isn't that what Canada's doing right now?
No. Well, listen. The odds of you getting found if you die in the deep wilderness are not very high. They might find your clothes, but your body will be scavenged. All kinds of animals will eat you. They'll drag your bones away. There'll be nothing left. If there's bears in the area, there might literally be nothing left. If there's pigs in the area, there'll be nothing left. Nothing. They'll eat your bones. They'll eat everything. There'll be nothing left. So if you're just a person and you go missing and you're in the deep woods, like miles in, you're in a bad place, and they might not ever find you. That's just a fact. There's too much acreage to look over. There's millions of acres of public land that people could just go into, and people go missing, man, and you can't find them.
Have you ever heard of missing 411?
Sure, yeah.
And how they like these people disappear and then they're found totally somewhere else and they can't remember what just happened?
Well, that's the Travis Walton story, bro.
Yeah, that I just saw that.
Boy.
Yeah, that Travis is a crazy story.
Yeah, he was one of the more interesting people that I've talked to that have had experiences, because I'd say the same about Bob Lazar. They don't seem like they're lying. They don't seem at all like they're lying. Lazar seemed like he was telling me, this is going to sound crazy, but here's a story. That's what it seemed like. Like, it did not seem like a guy making up a story. And then you go back and see him talking about it in the 1980s. He's talking about it the same way.
Exact same talking
I'm
point.
Inclined, the more time goes on,
well, that's the meeting with Eisenhower where he makes a deal with them, with the aliens, is that they want to be able to do tests and kidnap and all that stuff. But he makes a deal that you can only do it in the forest. You can't do it in the regular places. So that's why people go missing in the forest. Now, obviously, bad things happen and you never hear from them again. But supposedly these people disappear and then they're found a couple days later in a totally different place and they can't remember what just happened.
Well, if I was going to do it, I had a bit in my act about it. That's what I would do. I wouldn't land on the White House lawn. I'd find some dude cooking meth. Snatch him up and go tell somebody. You're not going to, nobody's going to believe you.
Believe you.
Yeah, but that's if you're just looking for biological studies, if you're just doing tests on people. A lot of people have talked about hybridization programs, that they're exposed to like their children, like they had been multiple times they had visited, and then they were shown like a human alien hybrid that they were told is their child. Wild
dude,
shit.
that is crazy.
Wild.
Yeah,
guys are getting by female aliens. Female aliens like hold them down, riding their like actually
Listen. I know that sounds crazy what Joe just said, but look it up because I can't show you the pictures, okay? But look up the artist who claims that, I forget what his name is, but he claims that he with an alien lady and he's been painting pictures of it ever since. Said he met 2 children that were hybrids that were his, and that she was like, I'm going back to wherever I'm from. You'll never see them again. Just wanted you to see them. It's wild, this artist. I mean, just crazy.
Like, actually having sex with them.
They're from the future.
No, I don't think they're Chinese. I think they're aliens. They're just a different kind of whatever the we are. I think we're a combination of whatever some intelligent, advanced species,
God.
Whatever. Well, the God ultimately for the whole thing, for the whole ball of wax. But I have a feeling, just like we've done weird shit and created poodles, I think someone might have come here and, for lack of a better term, monkeyed around with our genes and added some good shit. You know, and that's in a lot of ancient texts, man. That's in a lot of ancient depictions of how the gods created men.
And that's how Nephilims come. Fallen angels, the daughters of men.
It gets weird. That's where it gets weird, because nobody wants to even consider the possibility that we have been genetically engineered. No one wants to consider it because it's kind of crazy. But also, guys, look how different we are than everything else.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of weird.
Yes, and they can't explain the jump from monkey to man.
Yeah.
There's no link to that.
Well, there's links. I mean, there are transitionary fossils. Like, you can see like Australopithecus, you can see the different ones, but there's a lot of weirdness in there that it doesn't cover. And one of them is the doubling of the human brain size over a period of like between, I think it's somewhere around 1 million or 2 million years. The human brain size.
That's interesting what he just did. He just named Australopithecus, but that is not, I'm pretty sure that's not seen as us evolving from, you know, just monkey to human. That's just another species. So you see what he did this there? It's very interesting. In this part of the conversation, they're kind of going back and forth because Sam's bringing up the Nephilim and he's saying, yeah, but he's also saying monkeyed around. But the story of the Nephilim has nothing to do with monkeys being bred with. It has everything to do with people existing and angels doing their thing and giants, Nephilim, being born, right? So it's like he's agreeing with Sam in order to move the conversation forward, but he's talking about something completely different than what Sam's talking about. Sam's talking about something that's rather, you know, I'll say spiritual, you'll say biblical, right? Joe's talking about something that is, again, talking about language being lost, something that's more medical, something that's more scientific, quote unquote. This is an interesting little thing picking up there.
It's doubled. And it just, they're like, what happened? What happened? Maybe it was mushrooms. Maybe it was, but also maybe mushrooms are aliens, and that's real possible. That it's alien life form that like exists on our planet and gives you enlightenment if you consume it.
I want to microdose during jiu-jitsu. That's what I would like to do. I would love to do. Didn't you just have that one politician on talking about
Rick Perry,
the book of Enoch, the woman?
Oh yeah, Anna Paulina Luna. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's like that's a super. You know, you bring up Gnosticism, Christians get really upset. I don't know what the answer is. You know, I mean, I'm a spiritual man. It's like one God. Jesus is my savior. That's what I'm into right now. Makes me happy and vibrate on a higher level. But if you study Gnosticism, you know, the whole story of the demiurge is very interesting. That's where fallen angels mating with the daughters of men come from. And that's where the original feminist was. The first ever feminist was Sophia, who was the feminine energy of the universe. And literally, she was like, I don't need a man, right? She literally said, like, I don't need a man. And she creates life. And she instantly knows she made a mistake, which sounds like every single mother to me, right? So she creates the demiurge. And the demiurge doesn't understand about the higher table of gods, and he thinks he is God. And a lot of people believe the first God of the Testament is the demiurge.
Oh, okay.
And his whole thing is about just basically he wants to destroy humanity. That's kind of what everyone talks about in Satan. But Sophia gave us the spark of life. She gives us a spark.
Wouldn't you want to know, like, go back to the time where they were writing the Bhagavad Gita?
I would love that.
And go, what do you know?
Yeah.
How are you writing
I think
this?
about that all the time.
What's a Vimana?
Yeah.
Like, what are these flying crafts you're talking about?
Yes, dude.
And in the Vedic texts.
And you,
like,
so you talk about fallen angels. A lot of people think that's Christian mumbo jumbo. I don't believe it is at all. because the Vedics talk about it and the Hindus talk about it, about God trapping entities in this realm that we live in. So I think the Vedics were 4, the Hindus I think are 2 or 3, and then we have the 33%, which is the fallen angels. And then they come down, they get trapped here. And that's the whole thing about transhumanism, is that they're trying to figure out how to get out of here.
Have you ever seen Lazar talk about the weirdest shit that he heard when he was at S4?
No, what was
He
it?
said the weirdest was they said they had a very thick file that was about religion. And basically what it boiled down to is, at least what this file was saying, was that they view us as containers.
Yes.
And he wasn't specifying containers of what, like containers of souls, and like I don't know, but that's the terminology they used. They view us as containers. Can you imagine if like a soul is an energy that you have to farm or that you have to extract, just like how we extract oil from the earth, that souls are things you extract, and so you need to grow a bunch of them, so you need people to just up a storm and clutter up a planet, and really what you're doing is just farming souls.
Yeah, dude, that's so
Can you imagine?
crazy.
You think that you're an OnlyFans model,
Yeah.
and you're a DJ at a strip club, and you're a football player, and you're a top scientist, and you're this and you're that, and but really on the highest level, you're just in a farm. You're in a farm, and there's a super intelligent entity that's above and beyond anything you could ever comprehend, and the only thing it doesn't have is souls. So it needs souls, because souls are a real element. It's just like you need cobalt to make a battery.
Yeah,
You need
that's the belief.
You actually need a soul.
We're the battery that runs the simulation. It's so deep, dude.
Well, why would it? Why is that weirder than black holes? You know, why is that weird? I was watching this thing on Twitter yesterday. I still say Twitter.
So, with what Joe just said, it's interesting because when you use this very small, dismissive, almost insulting language to describe the human experience, he's still kind of hitting on it. That is what's happening. You know, it's not a farm like we're all pigs, but we already know, like the story of Satan. Satan is trying to gather up souls. God wants us to go back to him. So both sides, that's why they say that there is a battle of good and evil happening, because there is. And there's a bunch of souls on this physical plane, and both sides are trying to have you come to them. Satan, God, like say Satan, evil, will offer you material, offer you fame, offer you fortune. All you have to do is go through a slip and slide of baby oil and you're good. Maybe you'll have to do it once or twice throughout your career, you know. Maybe you'll have to do some weird things in Gladiator 2, you know, like Denzel Washington. But you'll get what you want, right? Some people are gonna hate that I mentioned Denzel Washington, but look up what he did in the new movie. Go check out the scene that they cut out. Just saying. But that is what's offered on that side. And then, you know, the story of God, you know, whatever religious text you go through, he is offering you eternal life. He wants you to return to him, return to source, go up to the next realm with him, whereas the evil brings you down a level, and then you're attached to them. A lot of people feel like, well, your soul's not yours to give away. It's like, well, that's why it's such a terrible, evil thing to do, because the thing is not yours. You're still making the deal. It's for earthly possessions, and you're binding yourself in bondage with this all evil presence. You're binding yourself. You're making a deal for that to happen with something that's not yours. Okay. You're renting a house and you're turning to some guy and you're like, I'll sell you the house. And it's not your house. It's like, what are you doing? You just sold it? I sold it. Yeah. Yeah. It's covered in baby oil, and unspeakable things have happened inside of it, especially in the backyard. Crazy things have happened in the backyard. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And God's just like, this is crazy. I gave that to you. 70-year lease. What'd you do? Ah, man. So much stuff, man. I'm sorry. I just sold it. But Joe is hitting on something, but he's hitting on it in a very, it's odd. And Ryan Bledsoe is going to talk about this. It's odd how there are so many people in high up positions that, if I'm to be the most charitable, are being tricked by using this very primitive, again, borderline insulting, if you really knew how powerful and how much you were, and I'll get into that later, language towards us, this human experience, and what we are and what we're meant to do on this plane. But aside from that, let's get into Bob Lazar saying what Joe's talking about. Okay. And also, again, just going back to what they talked about being genetically engineered, Bob actually talks about this a little bit in regards to a couple religious figures, which is very interesting. And then just lastly, the whole thing of monkey versus Nephilim. Okay, that is just not the same thing. I know I already went through this, but they weren't talking about the same things. And it's interesting because I would love to ask Sam this directly, and he probably, I don't know what he would say because Joe's his great friend, but it seems like he was trying to push that and Joe was pushing something else. And they were agreeing and coming together, but not really connecting ideas. Because again, if you go with the story of Nephilim and you agree like Joe was agreeing, then you have to move away from monkey. You kind of have to. I don't know. Unless those angels were freaks, like that old Dave Chappelle bit. Have you ever seen that Dave Chappelle bit where he's like, I think I want that monkey. Come here with your big red booty. Oh, so dumb. All right, let's get into it.
Extremely classified document dealing with religion, and it's about that thing. Period. But why would there be any classified material dealing with religion?
I want to go back to the religion thing. I want you to say it.
Oh, come on, that's so weird. That's a lie.
I'm not asking you to say what you believe to be a fact. I'm asking you to say what you read in a report that is distributed at what may be the most top secret facility in the world. Okay. All right.
All right, I'll say it. It's so far out.
All right. Your objection has been noted.
Okay.
What does it say?
That we're containers. That's how supposedly the aliens look at us. That we are nothing but containers.
Containers of
Containers. Maybe containers of souls. You can come up with whatever theory you want, but we're containers, and that's how we're mentioned in the documents. That religion was specifically created, so we have some rules and regulations for the sole purpose of not damaging the containers.
the souls. Meaning,
Well, the souls or the bodies, whatever. Right? That's
meaning like we're containers for souls that they're going to use at some other point.
right.
And that they had something to do with different prophets and biblical figures.
Yes.
What?
Well, that supposedly Jesus and two other beings were genetically engineered. They were implanted in people on Earth in biblical times, and their births were closely monitored. Now, just some little connections to that my wife had brought up were in the Bible. They said that the star had followed Mary wherever she went, and that all UFO sightings always start out as people, well, gee, that looks like a bright star, and well, in fact, they said in the Bible, the brightest star in the sky followed her where she went, and just make little connections like that.
Okay.
I don't know what else to touch on.
Okay, so now here's the thing.
Religion was specifically.
Here's the thing. It's very odd because I gotta see, when did Bob Lazar first come out with this? When did Bob Lazar first speak out? Let's just see. Because here's the thing, right? Okay, 1989. So this is around 1989, 1990. Okay. Makes sense. It's just very interesting that he is like at the beginning where he's just like, oh, come on.
Extremely classified document dealing with religion, and it's about that thing. Period. But why would there be any classified material dealing with religion?
I want to go back to the religion thing. I want you to say,
Oh, come on, that's so weird. That's a lot.
I'm not asking you to say,
You see what I mean? Like, that seems so, to me, it seems so put on. Like, oh, come on, oh, man, you're making me say it? Oh, lordy Lou. Like, I don't know. When I first see that, I go, that seems kind of fake, right? But also, I do believe Bob Lazar in what he was saying. And there's been a lot of proof. There's been a lot of people debunking his whole experience that he talks about, but there's been a lot of proof to it as well. So it's really hard to say. And like Joe says over and over again, he has not changed his story, right? So I feel like I believe him. But when I see that part of the clip, I'm like, that's odd. And the only reason it makes me question it is because I do think that there is an effort to make us feel insignificant, to make all of the incredible things that you've seen human beings build and you've heard about them doing to seem like it's just nothing. There's always this pull to make us feel like even the greatest of us, the religious figures, although he doesn't name any more, he says there's two other religious figures. Who else could that be, really? I don't know. But saying that they're genetically engineered. So it's like even there's an effort to take everything that is divine, that we know to be divine, whether it be from scripture of all religions, there's an effort to pull all of that away from us. That's why I lean towards that. So I will also say in the same breath, I do have a bit of a bias because I don't believe Jesus was genetically engineered. Here's the thing though. I'm wearing a tinfoil Speedo. So if you ask me if it's possible at all, I have to say, yeah, it's possible. I mean, if you want to have a fun thought experiment, like that's a thing that could happen. But even as he was going through this little, he was parsing this out. He was like, bro, did you read it in a file in Area 51 or not? Okay. But buddy, believe me, I'm doing a video right now in front of no one. Okay. I'm just in a room and I'm on point. If I had something from that place and I was telling you about it, I would have my ducks in a row. No ums and ahs, nothing. I'd be like, this is what they said. This is how they said it. This is how the conception happened. Especially that. I'd be zoned in on that part. I'd be like, oh my God. He's like, in the Bible, they say there was a star apparently followed her through everything. How don't you know? And also, it's not like the regular Bob Lazar clips. This is fresh. This is him just stepping out of that place. He just was touching an alien craft and turned around and was like, I'm not sure about, there was a star apparently. I don't know. Jesus was genetically engineered or something like that. I didn't really track much of it. What? I don't know about that, buddy. But at the same time, I just wanted to show you what he actually said. Now, let's move on to Ryan Bledsoe. I hope I'm saying that name right. I mean, it's the only thing that it can possibly be. Let's hear what he has to say. I find this so interesting. And this clip made me want to interview him. I've been reaching out to him. If you guys are on X, on any social that he's on, please tag him and say Coach Colin wants to talk to you.
Yeah. So do you know Project Blue Book?
Yeah, of course.
He was like the right-hand man of that. Alan J.
Really?
Yeah. Hynek.
He worked with Hynek?
He was like his protege.
Oh, wow.
He was the guy that dropped in and did the debunking. So he shows up to our door, reading. Is Chris Bledsoe here? He's playing us,
Mm-hmm.
But over
He's
time,
just fishing for information, trying to figure you guys out.
Exactly, fishing for holes, and he couldn't find them.
So he was there specifically to figure out if you guys were full of shit or not.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, he was the guy they dropped in to find the holes in the story, and
So he said, so you said he was visiting you guys for years after that.
Until the day he died, he was supposed to be driving to our house to spend Thanksgiving with us, and he didn't show up, and we're like, oh, well, you know, something must have come up. And then the next day we get a call from his wife, Katie, and she said basically he fell and hit his head and he was in a coma. Yeah. But he was like, we were expecting him at our house, you know, so, and that's...
What did he say to you about this whole phenomenon?
Well, he said more to my dad than he said to me. I mean, you know, I was younger. I think he let a lot more out to Dad, but he knew it was spiritual. He indicated to my dad that it may be his family.
Yeah.
The beings, the entities, you know. Now, here is something that I find particularly wild. But in about 2008 or 9, I would have been like 15 or 16 years old. Something he said to me and my family that for many years I've been paying attention to in my mind is that by the year 2025, the disclosure rollout would be on the table. All those years ago, 2008 or 2009, he said, the government's disclosure plan is going to be out on the table by 2025. And this is what he's saying. He said, and we're going to do it through soft disclosure, meaning there's going to be like a steady drip of information so as to not shock people. It's going to be like little bits of information coming out over a long span of time.
Right.
But, you know, that we should know pretty much the majority of everything by 2025. He told me that when I was a kid.
What do you think the disclosure is going to look like? Like, do you think that if there is government disclosure about this stuff, it's going to be 100% accurate?
No, actually the opposite.
How so?
I think it's going to be more or less fear-based. More or less, you know, militarized. You're seeing it now. They're jamming our space. They're jamming our radars. You've got congressional hearings where they're coming out and they're saying, I have a classified dossier that was handed to me by a superior, and I've heard stories of people getting harmed, and, you know, you've got like Mexican Congress coming out with a body saying there's eggs in it, and you've got all the stuff. It's building this fantastic sci-fi story, right? But I think at the end of
You think it's fear-based?
Yeah, I think the general picture is to create this narrative that we are all tiny specks of pretty much nothing, and that there's no hope, there's no any inkling of spiritual evolution. And why do I think that? It's because it's what the lady told to my dad. It's in the book. It's in the regression. It's what she said. I mean, it's the message. She said that there is a force. She didn't say who. She said that there are people at the helm of humanity. She didn't say the Illuminati. She didn't say the Bilderbergers. She didn't give a name, right? She just said there is a dark force.
A dark force at the helm of humanity.
At the tippy top, yep, controlling humanity. There's a dark force. And they are using biblical scripture, namely the book of Revelations, to sort of script events on a global stage to manifest a cataclysm, and that there would be a great deception. That this deception would be basically to paint the phenomenon in a negative light. It's
who is this dark force? Are these human beings?
Yeah, that's. I mean, are they? I don't know. Maybe it's an egregor.
A what?
An egregor, the concept that, like, you know, it's like the devil. It's like if enough people believe in something, it gives it power. It's like,
right.
You know, enough people believe in a specific concept. Oh, there you go. Yeah,
Steve.
Perfect. Wow, you're awesome.
Egregor. That's the first time I've ever heard that word. An egregor.
It's very interesting. Okay, everything he just said. I've been saying this for a while. You know, the whole no hope, no inkling for spiritual evolution. Now, the thing that I find interesting is that they're bringing up this term egregor here, right? It's funny because he's like the devil, if enough people believe it, then it gives it power. But then he was also told that there is a dark force that is running humanity. And it's just, again, you lose language. So he's not sure. He's like an egregor, this and that. It's like the woman told you it's a dark force. And also you're saying the devil isn't really something to believe in. It's like the language is already there for us. And and there's so many people that just keep discarding the language because it's wrapped up in all the dogma and all the worst parts of religion that push people away from Christ, from Allah, push people away from religion. So it's just he's already been told what it is. It's a dark force. There's a battle between good and evil happening. It's clear what the dark force is. And then again, talking about language, if you go into scripture, there's talk about Satan, the devil, having dominion in this place, having a lot of control in this place, because this is the place of material. This is the place of, I have to work hard and I have to shovel this and I have to move that and I got to walk over here and I got to lift this thing up. And it's this place of material, of matter, where things are just harder. The experiences are more vivid. You're in this body. You can't just move around freely. It takes work to move around in all aspects. And then on top of all that, it takes money. So you're offered all this material. You can see it. You can see it in the top ranks of who people look up to. Everything's bathed in material. Everything. So I don't know. I think he has the answer already of who it is. He's just not really into that answer. And also there is part of it where people don't want to be seen as the person. Like, that's why I credit Tucker so much. Tucker he's a journalist. He's a former mainstream news guy, ties to certain agencies and whatnot through his father. But he's still like, yeah, demons, angels, they've been here for a while. That's what I think is going on. Even he said, it's funny because Ryan says that he was told that there's a dark force above humanity. And Tucker also said the same thing. He says, I think the people who are in charge actually have this other thing above them that's actually quite dark. And they don't want you to actually know that. This is very interesting stuff. Now, again, going back to the whole thing of containers, like, is this true? Again, language matters so much. So going back to what Ryan said about there being no hope, I'm talking about language and how important it is. If I tell you you're a container, that kind of comes off as very bleak. It doesn't give you a great picture of what you are. But if I turn to you and I say, you're actually this tremendous spiritual being having a human experience, and you're learning all these things that you're going through in life, is teaching this immense, great soul that's inside of you, teaching it all these things that it needs to know when it goes up into the higher realms. It needs to have these experiences. This place is like a training ground. You're being trained, and it's important that you do things the right way so you can pass the test. So when you have a life review in front of you at the end of this whole thing, and you actually go into the next realm and you're questioned about the decisions you made in life, you can say that you made the right decisions and actually transcend instead of having to repeat all this over again. If I say that to you, you go, wow, there's something really important going on here. My life is really important. And it would be whether it was bad or a good life. It's really important. Language matters so much, so much. And all the time, when they tell you that you're an ape, when they tell you you're a container, when they tell you this is a farm, for the people who are cynical, and no offense, the people who have given up a lot in life, it's comforting. They go, oh, wow, thank you. That's all I needed to hear. So I don't need to try that hard. And, there's this whole thing that comes with that. And it happens in architecture as well. Have you ever heard, think about this. Think about the structures that you see in Rome, ancient Egypt, even the Capitol buildings in every state. Like, check them out. In the world, these buildings, these gorgeous, incredible pieces of art, the churches that used to get built up, what they looked like, it would make you, when you see this incredible structure, you have respect for it, you have reverence for it, you will protect it, you will take part in it, you will want to go inside that building and be there and take part in what's going on there. But when you see architecture and what it's shifted to, and now they just make boxes, Everything's just a box. There's nice boxes, but mostly it's just boxes that you see. Even the most modern houses, it's just like, box here, box there. And we're like, wow, it's a mansion. But that's not really a mansion. You know, we see other things like a castle. A castle is like a beautiful structure. Beautiful, right? What would you feel like walking into a castle? You'd feel like a king. What do you feel like walking into a box? You got to think of the language. It's so important. And again, going back to the whole thing of, is Joe right or is Bob right in the whole container analogy? Well, kind of. I mean, it's been said that we are spiritual beings having a human, or the saying goes, you are not a human having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And there's other Eastern philosophies, religions, if you can call them that, where they talk about our bodies being clothes. They talk about this material world being a projection. They talk about us like as if we're just containers, right? And it's kind of true. I mean, you know, if you watch that interview I had with the hospice nurse, she was telling a story of one patient that she had, or it was a story she was being told. So somebody had hospice and their mother ended up getting real, the veil was getting real thin, right? And the mother turns to her daughter and she goes, am I going to need these? Because she's on her deathbed. She's like, am I going to need these? And she's like, your hands? Because the veil's getting thin. So she's like, am I even going to need my hands? And then she goes, am I going to need this? But she's wearing something that's open. So she thinks like your clothes. Like, what do you mean, your clothes? She goes, no, this. And she's like tugging at her skin. She's like, am I going to need this? That's how thin the veil was getting. That she's like, what is this body even for? Man. But again, if they can make you think that there is no afterlife, that there's nothing after this, it's very easy to get people to participate in debauchery and hedonism and to start going for that type of way of living, because this is all there is. This is it. So make sure someone calls you the right name. You're a he, him. Make sure that they say it. They must say it, because this is all you have. There's no afterlife. There's nothing better after this. This is as good as it gets. So that thing that you have a soul, that thing doesn't even really matter. So if somebody wants to buy it, you're getting off easy. You're actually getting over them. They're going to give you all this fame and fortune, and they just want something that's not even real. And if it is, it's insignificant. Ah, perfect. Dip me in baby oil, sir. Oh, man. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit. Yeah, don't believe the hype. You're actually really, really special. You really are. Really.